So now we're going to look at Out Out by Robert Frost. First, we're going to look at the title. It comes from Shakespeare's Macbeth, a line in that play which said, "Out, out, brief candle." And as we've discussed before, the candle, a universal symbol of the fragility of life, and this is what we're dealing with in this poem. Okay, so the buzzsaw snarled and rattled in the yard. Okay, there's a sense of onomatopoeia there. There's also a sense of foreshadowing. And made dust and dropped stove-length sticks of wood, sweet-scented stuff. You clearly hear the sibilance here. The sticks of wood, sweet-scented stuff, when the breeze drew across it. And from there those that lifted eyes could count 5 mountain ranges, one behind the other, under the sunset far into Vermont. Your question is asking about the scenes that Frost sets. Very clear scene. We also have to look at the narrative. It's very clear it's a third-person narrative. He's telling the story of workers. He's telling the story of a boy. There's no I. The first person is not relevant in this, so it's a different narrative voice. And the saw snarled and rattled, snarled and rattled. Okay, again we have the onomatopoeia, we have the repetition, and we also have a bit of personification. It's as if we have a very angry saw. What's he going to do? As it ran light or had to bear a load, and nothing happened. Day was all but done. Call it a day, I wish they might have said, to please the boy by giving him the half hour that a boy counts so much when saved from work. Okay, there's even a sense of a pleading here from the poet. He wished they had have left work a half an hour early, and the fact it's a boy, it makes us much more emotionally attached. It's a young boy. His sister stood beside him in her apron to tell them supper. Okay, we get a bit of dialogue here. She simply came out and said supper. At the word, the saw, as if to prove saws knew what supper meant, leaped out of the boy's hand. Okay, so we have personification again here. The saw, it seemed to leap out of the boy's hand. But, as Frost often does, changes his mind. It seemed to leap. Maybe that's how we saw it. He must have given the hand. However it was, neither refused the meeting. Sense here that the meeting was quite easy. The saw just went straight through his hand. But the hand, the exclamation mark here is important, shows you the sense of panic that it has created. Just get the pen working here again. Okay, so the boy's first outcry was a rueful laugh. Now, anyone who has ever been involved in an accident, it's the first thing we may do. We may try and pretend nothing's wrong. We give out a laugh. It's an unconscious reaction by the body. As he swung toward them, holding up the hand, half in appeal, but half as if to keep the life from spilling. Okay, life there, I suppose the blood. The symbol of life being the blood there, as life was spilling from him, as the red blood flowed from his arm. Also half an appeal, he was looking at them. Again, we see the innocence of the young boy. He doesn't know what to do. But then the boy saw all. Okay, so he got a sense of the reality of what had happened. Even though he's so young, he figured it out. Since he was old enough to know, big boy doing a man's work, though a child at heart. Again, we see he's creating an image here which causes us to have empathy for the young boy. He's a child doing a man's work. He's still a boy, but doing a man's work. And he saw all spoiled. He knew. Okay, as humans do, we often know we can try and pretend, but he knew all was spoiled. Again, dialogue comes in here. Don't let him cut my hand off. The doctor when he comes. Don't let him, sister. The repetition of don't here, don't let him. Again, the innocence creates a lot of empathy with the reader. It's very dark. You're asked about the dark side of his poetry. We're dealing with about death here, with human destruction, the way we react in situations. So, but the hand was gone already. Okay, very matter of fact, and he's highlighting the way we react to certain things. We have to be matter of fact about things. We don't have time to deal with, to be nice, to explain things. The hand was gone. Very simple, very matter of fact. The doctor put him in the dark of either. Okay, so a type of, a way to put him to sleep, to ease him of his pain. He lay and puffed his lips out with his breath. And then the watcher at his pulse took fright. So someone would have been taking his pulse. We now have machines to do that. But whoever was taking his pulse took fright, because the pulse started to fade. No one believed. They listened at his heart. Now this line here, you cannot write an essay without using this line. Probably one of Frost's best lines. Little less, nothing. Okay, is there a better way to describe the death of someone? The little heartbeat, it gets less, and all of a sudden nothing. Okay, 3 words to describe the slow descent into death of a young boy. And that ended it. Okay, again, very matter of fact. Again, we're talking about the darkness in his poetry. That ended it. Very matter of fact. No niceties around it. No more to build on there. And they, since they were not the one dead, turned to their affairs. Now this is, I suppose, the main theme of the poem and the darkness. The people, if we're not connected to someone, we move on in the world. Some people say it's very pessimistic. Other people would argue that it's very realistic, that if someone belonging to you dies, you may stop for a while, but the world keeps turning. The world keeps going. That may not be as harsh as this, but that's the reality. Okay, so in terms of answering your question, it's quite dark in how humans react to death and accidents. The narrative scene, the scenes created are very, very clear. The saw, the young boy with his hand up, half an appeal, half to keep the life from spilling, very clear. The narrative voice is it's third person. Okay, so all of those elements, put it in your essay. I hope makes coming up with a couple of paragraphs a bit easier. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you.